Good morning to you laddies and lassies of the game vine. Today we're here to review a game with a touch of the blarney, known as Korrigans. My name is Trevor Krigo.
And my name is Dave with a little less Irish accent.
I'm Chris.
And yes, as Trevor stated, we are reviewing a game of Korrigans here, and this is produced by Madagascar. Now this game is all about leprechauns, and leprechauns are trying to do what they do best and get gold. And the person with the most gold, well, leprechaun, is the winner. Now it's not about the deadly leprechauns, this is more of a happy type feel to it. And again, like I said, Madagascar produced this game, so all of the miniatures and the board, they're going to be top notch. And this is an incredibly light game, wouldn't you guys agree?
Yeah.
Not like a crazy gamery game, but something good for the family that takes around 45 minutes. There's an inside joke there. And without further ado, let's show you what comes in this box, these fantastic components, and then we'll show you how to play. So here's what comes in the box of Korrigans, and it is magnificent. Madagascar always impresses me when it comes to the components. Let's start with the wooden disc that we have here. These are the rainbow discs. You're going to be pulling these from this nylon bag, I think it is, that they provide. And they come in 7 different colors. They are very thick wooden components. Then we'll go to the cardboard ones. These are the backup animal disc. They have a bunny and a squirrel on each side. Then you have the first player marker. It also comes with this troll here with the standee. I'll get to what that does later. Then you have these little pieces that go around the actual Korrigans. They might hinder you or they might help you out. You have the clover disc here. You have a whole slew of them. You get way more than this. But they have either animals on them or they have coins on them. This little yellow ring signifies if you play a 4 or 5 player game, you add these. So if you are playing a lower game, you're not going to add them. So those are all the cardboard components with the exception of the shields. These come in each colors of the Korrigan colors, and you're going to be using these throughout the game. Now let's get into the plastic bits. Now these Korrigan pieces here, as you can see, they are different even on the teams here. They look kind of the same. They have the same style, but these are different miniatures, and even for every team, it's just the same. So each of these Korrigan pieces, they didn't need to do this, but they altered them just a little bit just to kind of immerse you in the components. The other ones that I am very impressed with, these feel like a good rock component. These are the Murher stones, and they have a little sticker that you have to apply yourself, and they're going to do different things. The last plastic bit is my favorite, the pot of gold. It's painted and it has some nice weight to it. Plastic component, my favorite in the whole set. Last, we have the magnificent board here, and you can see there are emblems here, but this is double-sided, so when you play this game enough and you know where things are, you can flip it over, and this is a much cleaner look. Let me show you a little bit here. So as you can see, there are no pictures. On the opposite side, there are pictures. So you can do either side. It functions the same way. And those are all the components. Now let me show you how to play this game. Alright, so this is the game of Korrigans set up for 3 players. Now, if you have a 4 5 player game, you're going to be adding one of these ring yellow tokens to each one of these areas. Now, you're going to be placing the Murher stones, and the amount that shows in kind of a shadowy number here, that's how many clover tokens are going to be in these areas, and that's how you're going to be accumulating gold. And there are multiple ways to do that. Again, at the end of the game, you want to be the team of Korrigans with the most gold. Simple as that. The game is super light and pretty simple, actually. So you're going to begin the game by picking a start player, and they're going to put their first Korrigan in an area, which I've already done, that specifies right here by the number 1. And then they're going to pick up all these clover tokens and look at them and then pick one of them. It's recommended to get one animal because you're going to be using animals to move around the board. The ones that show up more often than not are the bunnies and the squirrels, because they are used to move through these areas. See these icons right here? That's what you have to have in front of you to actually move. But once you place an animal token in front of you, you have that animal to help you out or companion throughout the game until the end of the game on the last turn. So you're going to take one of these and put it behind your shield, but you're going to have it face up and put the rest of it in the area that you placed your Korrigan in. And then the second player is going to put it on a 2 and do the same thing, and so will the third player, so forth and so on, until everyone has placed their second one in the same number. There's another 1, so the start player will put right here, do the same thing, and they'll continue to do that until both Korrigans are out on the board and you have 2 tokens behind your board. Now let's go over the animals. I'll show you with these extra components. There are moles that allow you to go from one mole hole to another one, and there are 3 different ones, one right here and one in the pumpkin patch. You can just go right there. And then there are rabbits and squirrels that essentially just allow you to move from a lot of these outside spaces. Then you have the mouse. You see the icon here. It works just like a bunny or a rabbit, but they're really in the inside here, which might be crucial at the end of the game. The last one that I have here is my favorite, and it is a bird. Now you can, there's no icon, but you can fly from one color to the same color, and you can pick any 3 areas that you want, well, with the exception of the 2 areas of gray, but you can fly to each one if you have this bird. Again, you put them in front of you and you always have that power. The last one I have here is the frog, and he has emblems here. You can go from one port to another frog port, which is right here, and there are multiples like that. So on your turn, it's quite simple. The start player will draw 1 rainbow tile, then everybody will move their Korrigan, one of their Korrigan, and they must do so. And then you'll gather where you went, and the same way how you pick up all the tokens, look at all of them, draw 1, put it behind your shield, and put the rest back if there are any left. The one thing I want to go over right now before I get into the start of the game are the Murhur stones. Now they have different things on the bottom of them. This one here allows you to pick any player here and get rid of their shield. That's why it's important to keep your tokens face up, because now they have to play with all their tokens showing, and that's going to be important to other players seeing how much gold you have. And it could be bad or it could be good, whatever. That is that. This one here just allows you have to take one of these goblin tokens and put it around your Korrigan immediately. They go away unless they're gold. If they're gold, they're going to stay behind your shield and you'll show everybody, and this will count as 1 gold at the end. But if it's anything else that immediately happens, this token here gives you 2 less gold at the end of the game if you can't get rid of it. The way that you get rid of it is move into the same space here and give it to somebody else. The thing that I want to note is if somebody else has a token on them, it's not going to give them 2, but it will discard that one. So that's a way that you can get rid of one. That's how you get rid of the goblin token. The other one here, let's see if I can find, that's gold. This one right here, this is a good one for your Korrigan. You get to put this around him and you get +2 gold, but if people move into your space, they can steal it, and that's how you exchange this green one here. So that is those 2 tokens right there. The troll one right here, this one allows you to bring this guy into the game, and he just sits in the middle anywhere that you want to put him. You no longer can use a squirrel to get into this area. You can get in it from this end, but you can't move that way, and that's how you can thwart somebody from moving somewhere that you don't want them to. The last one here is a fairy. You just immediately get 1 more move with your Korrigan. Again, you only get to move 1 Korrigan on your turn, but if you get that fairy, you get to take another turn. The way that you acquire these Murhur stones, you have to move into a space that only has 1 clover in it. You get to take the clover, put it behind your shield if you have one, and you get to take the Murhur stone. So it might be gold or it might be one of those things that I showed you before, but that's the way that you accumulate those. So the start player will take this token and the rainbow bag, and they're going to be drawing one of these little color tokens and putting it on the sun, unless it is a duplicate, but I'll get into that in a second. This is where we messed up, so take note. You do not draw on every person's turn. This gets drawn once around. Once the start player has drawn from this, he will pass it to the person to his left, and then everyone takes 1 Korrigan move. Now the thing about moving here is that you have to move your Korrigan. So if you don't have an animal in front of you, you can discard any one of your tokens here to take a backup animal, and that is this big token here. It's a squirrel or a rabbit, and then you will place it in front of you. You're gonna have to move, and you might need a bunny to move that way. But once you have them in front of you, you always have that power. That's another way to get a companion. So you will move your companion, you'll move your Korrigan, I'm sorry, to any space that he is eligible to move to, and you'll just do the gathering phase again, and that is basically picking these up and putting it behind your shield. and everyone would do that. So the star player will start, then the next player will do that, take one, put it behind his shield, and eventually the last player will take their movement phase, and then you start all over again by drawing another rainbow disc for this round, passing this to the left again, and this start player will take his turn, and that process will continue around the table, and you'll continue to gather gold and Murher stones and keep placing these little rainbow discs until one of two things happen, and it just happened here. If you get a duplicate, you have to place it in the cloud area. Now when you take a disc as the star player, you get to place it in any row that you want. If it's a duplicate, you get to pick any cloud. Now what you're doing here is eliminating this grid here and saying that the gold is not in this row. Now this is kind of strategic, but it's still pretty random. When you place it here, it's not going to be in that row, it's not going to be in this row, and you'll continue to narrow it down that way. And again, with the duplicates, you're saying it's not in this row and it's not in any of these rows. So you're going to continue to narrow it down until the next stipulation happens, and it is that you get the final rainbow color on the board for the sun tiles up here, and I'll continue to draw until that happens. And I did. The last color here is red. I'm not going to place it in the last sun here. Instead, I'm going to say that I now know that the gold is in this column, and this is where the grid comes into play. It doesn't come into play any other time. You're going to be placing the gold in one of the open cloud rows. So let's say that blue was able to draw the last rainbow color. Now this is the last turn of the game. This triggers the end turn, and this is a little different than what you've been doing the whole game where you're moving and gathering. Right now, you're just going to be pushing to try to get to the pot of gold. So the blue character gets to choose in either one of these rows, and if they were more open, to put the gold, and he's going to say, well, I'm going to put it in that little square because I am in that area. Now any of the areas that are populated or connected to this square here, like this yellow area, means that you have accomplished the end game stipulation and got bonus gold. What you're doing on the last turn is using all your companions that you can and moving as much as you can to get your Korrigans to the gold here. And if you get one Korrigan there, you get an extra 10 gold at the end of the game. But if you get both of them, you get an extra 15. Now, starting with the first player, they're going to take all the turns that they can to try to move both of their Korrigans there. The catch is, when you're moving to areas, you forfeit gathering. You don't take any Murher stones, you don't trade these little tokens. That is null and void. You are just trying to get to that goal to get bonus points. So you're using your companions, but the catch is also, when you use one, you have to discard it instead of having its power that whole time. So I will use a bunny and try to move. It's just that guy right there, and I'm going to use my birds so I can fly to this brown one right here, and I have this bunny here, so I'm going to use that and get purple into that area, and now they at least have 10 more gold going towards their last bonus score, but they don't have another bunny because all they have is a squirrel and a mouse, so they're only going to get 10 gold. But blue was able to get 2 people here, so he's got 15. So you'll do that process starting with the first player, going to the second, going to the third, and once that's done, you stop and count all your gold from your Murher stones, from your clover tokens, from your special little tokens around your Korrigans, and you do the negatives too, and then you'll count your bonus for the pot of gold and find out who is the winner via the most gold. And that's how you play Korrigans. Now let's give this game a grade and tell you what we think. Alright, so that's how you play Korrigans, and as I said earlier in the video, both times, as long as you're playing this game right, it's going to get a decent score from me. So as we always do here on the Game Vine, I personally give the games a letter grade and a percentage, and I settled on a 77%, which is a high C for me. I like this game a lot. The production is one of my favorite things that Madagot does. More often than not, they're going to produce a high, like top-notch component game, and most of the time it's going to be a good one. And that is this sings the same song for Korrigans for me. The things that I like about it is that it is extremely simple and streamlined. The production is beautiful, but the downfalls I would say is that it is really light. It's not something that I'm going to go back and want to play over and over again,
Right.
but I do get a nice satisfaction in playing this game when it is said and done, even though I lose more of the time than I win. That's not really factoring into my decision. I think I didn't give it a higher grade because it isn't like a really deep game, but it is something that I would recommend for families and the people that are in the. It's a good gateway game as well. I mean, just visually, you're going to see this game and you're going to want to play it, and it will satisfy a session or two. Whether you go back and play it, that's to be determined for me, but overall, I do like this game. Just not a spectacular game like I think most of Madagas's games, in my opinion, normally are. This is one of my lesser favorites, but still a good one overall for me. So 77% is what I'm giving this one. I do want to say that we did play this game wrong. We did a review slightly that you'll never see, but there's a little inside for you there. But with that being said, let's pass it over to one of these guys.
You go first. You go first, man. It's all you, bro.
All right. So I did like this game. I'm going to give it a second time around was a lot better than the first, along with that inside joke there.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Which is higher than last
Higher than the last time I gave it. We won't get into that score. I love the game. I mean, I really do. I like the components. Everything about it is nice. I love how every detail on the leprechauns.
Everyone's different.
Right.
Even the teams. Like these two
They're
are
still
different
both
here.
different.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the artwork on the board is pretty amazing. Every piece on this, I think, I like a lot of it.
That's what they do the best.
Right.
There's production of the games.
Art-wise, there's no downside to me.
Yeah,
for
you're
me
the
at
right
all.
guy.
And the game plays very well. And it's really easy to follow. Kinda. That's going to where one of the downsides for me is the turn base. It's, the first player starts it and then everybody gets a turn, and then it goes to the second player who draws, a rainbow piece, and then it goes a full turn for everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's where it can get lost if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, you really do
You
have to
don't know
pass that
who
around.
was the next player. That would probably be my only downside
Totally
to this game.
justified, yes.
But other than that, I enjoy it.
All right, how about you, bud?
I'm gonna give it kind of a. I'm gonna give it an 8, and I'm gonna say that it pushed it up that high because it has really good components. It has multiple different components. It's got these neat little shield boards here,
which you can take away. I've never seen that happen.
Yeah.
Like if there are shields in the game, they always are there.
Right.
Not in this one.
Yeah, I took it away from both of them actually. The little guys here are really cool. These little Menhur tokens and even the little rainbow tokens that you're setting out here are nice little wooden components.
Yeah.
I think overall components is what put it up to an 8 for me. Like Dave said, it's a really light game. It's not some mass strategy game that you're like wanting to go back to every time.
Right.
So if the components were a little lesser quality, it may have scored like a 7, maybe even a 6 for me.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But
these gold.
Even the little pot of gold is just really, really cool. I think it would have been awesome if it was like die cast, but that's still pretty nice. Pretty nice. There's not a lot of strategy and a lot of luck. Like, ultimately, there is some strategy, but, you're going around, you're picking up tokens, you have no idea what you're going to get. Right. Also, at the end of the game, you might not be the person that draws the final sun token here and places that there. So you have no idea where the gold token. So there's a lot of luck. If there's any strategy, it's kind of like how you want to balance taking gold versus taking critters.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, obviously, you're going to need critters to move around, but there's also might be a small amount of strategy into maybe taking an extra critter, even if you already have one of that critter, because at the end, it's a mad dash to the pot of gold.
Right,
so in that sense, it does give you a little balancing, a little strategy to how you're going to play out the future of the game, setting yourself up for a good mad rush at the end while still having a good pile of gold. Overall, very good game. It does take about 45 minutes.
It does.
Yes.
And that
That's
rings
the
true.
important part.
Yeah.
That is very important.
It takes 45 minutes, and I would say, it could go a little longer. But once you know how to play this game, it's good. And like you were saying, the balancing act for this game, I think is pretty much there. There are some little clover tokens that have 4 gold on it, and I don't know how many are in here, but they are pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But again, if you're able to get to the pot of gold, you can nullify any other kind of gold that they might have. The one thing, like you said, the random gold placement, that the grid on here is almost obsolete only for this, and you really can't strategically narrow it down if you really try. It does just kind of pop wherever you want.
Yeah.
And if you are the last person to draw that, you're going to have a huge advantage because you will put it where your leprechaun is. So
I will say, if I had a couple of beefs, obviously I already said it's extremely luck based, which I don't have a problem with luck games. But it's just not
light, so
there's not a lot of strategy. But there's one thing, and I guess with other games, if it's a lot more complex, it's not as light as this. It makes sense when you have to go look stuff up. I guess we had a couple of scenarios in the cauldron appearance phase where we didn't know exactly what we could or couldn't do, and it was extremely vague in the rule book. It's something as important as the last phase where you're trying to make a mad dash for the cauldron. They need to be very specific, because my thought is, if you're making this game, you probably played it a lot of times before you released it for mass production, in which case you should have ran into these scenarios and should have known to include it in the rule book.
Yeah, and basically, I said it earlier, but the mad dash at the very end is just that, for the gold. You don't pick up tokens, and you don't, trade off the other little things that you might trade off. It's only just trying to get to that gold.
Yeah,
so that's one of the things that we wish was in the rule book. We had to go fact it, but again, just a minor quip.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So that is our thoughts on the game, the Leprechaun game of Korrigans. And do you guys have anything else to say?
Good game.
All right, I think so too. And until the next time that we see you, I've been Dave.
Trevor.
Chris.
Have a great rest of your day and a great time with all your gold that you get. There you go, that works. Bye, everybody. We're out.
See ya.